Hello viewers, welcome to NodeJS tutorial. Today I will describe and show the example of NodeJS RESTful web service example and how we can develop NodeJS RESTful API. So what is the REST architecture? REST stands for Representational State Transfer. REST is web standard based architecture and use HTTP protocol. It revolves around resource where every component is a resource and resource is accessed by common interface using HTTP standard method. REST service simply provide access resource and REST client access modify this resource using HTTP protocol. The REST use various representational to represent a resource like text, JSON, XML, and JSON is the most popular one. So HTTP method, following the HTTP method are commonly used REST based architecture. Suppose get, put, delete, and post. Get, this is the used to provide read-only access to the resource. Put, this is the use create a new resource. Delete, this is the use remove resource. And put, post, this is the use update existing resource or create a new resource. RESTful web service. A web service is a collection of open protocol and standard used for exchanging data, application or system. So in this session we will show the example how we can create RESTful API. So we will at first create API create list user, add user, delete user and details user. We have a JSON based database having a following user. Suppose we have a user JSON. Here is the user JSON data, user 1, user 2, user 3, user 1 name, password and permission and ID. This is the user 1 information, also user 2 and user 3. So now we will create the list user API. RESTful API, we use the Express framework for implement the RESTful API. At first we need to install the Express module. So we have already installed the Express module. Now we will include the Express module. Express require Express. So there is app Express. Here is the Express app and bar. Here is the file system. File system need the read the file of JSON file. Require fs the file system module. We have already installed the file system module and Express module. We need to server of Express server and set the listen port. Suppose bar server app listen port is 8080. This is the callback function, and here bar, suppose we get the host server dot address and bar host bar port. We will get the port, which port we use in this server address and dot port, and then we will print this console.log example of app listening at HTTP at host. Host is host plus port port. So here express we have set the listen port in this port when we will run this server 8080 port available in this application. So now you will implement the get API for list user app dot get. Our get parameter is the list users. That is the callback function res and response. At first we read file JSON file fs read file as the read file parameter is directory name slash user.json. Our JSON file name is user.json, and second parameter is the encode utf8, and third parameter is callback function error, and this is the data. So now we will console the data and send response and data. So when we will call this URL get URL, call the list, when we say when we enter the list URL, then at first read the JSON file, and then JSON file callback function get the data, then this data sent to the client user browser and or client. So now we will run our project for see the example of REST API get method. So node server.js. So our server is running. Now we will see our, we will browse the local host, our port number 8080. Here the showing cannot get. Cannot get. Now we will set the parameter of get method for 8080 list user. So this is the user JSON list user. This is the get method of RESTful API. When we call the list user, and it's go to the get method and find the list user, and then is read the JSON file, and the JSON file data sent to the client or browser. So this is the REST API get method, get HTTP method. So now I will show the post method. In this post method, we will add the user data to the user JSON file. Post method API. Our first method name is, at first we set the JSON data, suppose bar user, that is our JSON object, user 4. In JSON file we have already 3 user, 1 2 3. Now we will add the user 4 data. Name, Mahdi Hassan, password 123456, profession senior, system analyst, system analyst. System analyst, and ID to 4. Now we will see how can add the user data by first method app dot is the first method slash add user, the callback function request response. At first we read the existing user, first read the existing user, then we will add data to the user JSON, fs dot read file, double underscore directory name plus user dot json utf8. This is the callback function error data 4 is user 4, this is the index 4, and then set the user user 4. This is the user object, and then we get the user object index user 4 and set it the user 4 in data. Then we will can set then log the console dot log data, and then we will set data to the file res dot and json dot stringify data, and this data first we need to convert and pass the data json dot parse data. So here at first we read the JSON file users.json, and then this data first by JSON, and in this data we say set the user for object to the user data, and finally we write the data to the response json.extended data, and we write data to the user JSON. Now we will see the example. Run our project again. Node server.js. Now we will call the add user and post method. Here is the get method. Now we will here is the post method add user. Add user post method. We set the add user so this post method will call internally, it not add call from the browser. So by this way we can add the data to the JSON file Now I'll show you the example of get data and show details by ID. Suppose dot get parameter one is ID, and we will set the ID, then the call by this ID, then this Node.js API will be called function request response. We can call this. We at first read the JSON data, and first the data bar user, and then here set the bar users dot user request dot params dot id, and console dot log user. Finally this user data sent to the client. So how we can call this get API by ID? Suppose we want to call user2, so we can run again node server .js. Here set the id to, then showing the schema base 3 password user 2. If we want to user 1 data, then showing the user 1 json data. If we want the user 3 data, then it's get the user 3 data. So easily we can get data by id in a get method. Now I will show the another example of delete HTTP method. Here is the delete, and we will call the API name is delete user. So here is at first read the JSON file, and pass the data, and it's set to the data file, and then delete the data. Delete data user plus 2 if we want to delete. So at first read the JSON data and parse the data, then delete the JSON file, this data to user. This record we want to delete user 2 as the delete user 2. Node server.js. Now we will call the delete user. So here is the string. This is undefined. Delete user. Will call the delete API. Delete. So here is the suppose id bar id equal to 2, then this one is undefined. Read file directory. This is the callback function, and pass the data, pass the JSON data, and delete the data user 2. Suppose user 2 means id 2. This id 2 will be, this record will be delete. res.and.json string by data. So when we will call the delete user from API, this data will be delete from the user.json. This record will be delete. So in this tutorial we have learned about how we can implement the Node.js RESTful API. RESTful API method is get. At first we show the example of list user. This get data, and this data read from the JSON file. And secondly we have implement the first method add user, and this is the add user object, and this data put to the JSON file, existing JSON file. At first read the JSON file, then add the data to the JSON file, and finally and then we have another get method by read data from JSON file by ID. when we um, when we call this API by ID get method, and then user JSON file is read, then match the user data record by ID, and this JSON data sent to the user. And finally we have implement the delete method of REST API, and this is the delete method. At first read the JSON file and find the JSON data and pass the JSON data, then delete the particular record of JSON data. Here we have set the ID to it will delete. Thank you so much.